Did you know that according to FEMA, nearly 60% of Americans have less than 3 days worth of food in their homes? 3 days. That's it. Think about that for a second. A single winter storm, a power outage, or even a trucking strike could wipe out grocery store shelves in hours. And when that happens, most families would be completely out of food before the week is over. Now picture this. It's the dead of January. The snow is piling up outside, the power grid just failed, and your fridge is nothing more than a cold box of spoiled food. Could your family really survive more than a few days with what's in your pantry right now? Here's the good news. There are foods that never expire. Foods you can stockpile today and forget about tomorrow. Foods that could literally keep you and your family alive when disaster strikes. And in this video, I'm walking you through 3 powerful survival foods that never go bad, so you'll always have peace of mind knowing your pantry is ready for whatever's coming. Some of these you probably already know, but others, almost nobody talks about them. And trust me, number 30 might be the single most valuable food you'll ever add to your survival stash. So stick with me to the very end, because if you're serious about keeping your family safe and fed during the next storm, blackout or crisis, this list could be a game changer. 1. White rice. Let's start with one of the most underrated survival staples, white rice. If stored right, this humble grain can last decades. Experts at Utah State University say properly sealed, polished white rice may retain quality for the USA Rice Federation even notes that uncooked white rice has an almost indefinite shelf life when stored in the right conditions. So why does rice last so long? Because it's dry, low moisture, and has little fat to go rancid. Put it in airtight Mylar bags or food-grade buckets, toss in oxygen absorbers, and keep it cool, dark, and dry. And you've got a shelf-stable base that outlives almost every other pantry food. But here's where it gets real. Picture a blackout in midwinter. You've got nothing but what's in your pantry. A vat of rice plus some canned beans or a dash of sauce can keep your family fed for days. Unlike fresh produce or dairy, rice doesn't spoil. It's calorie-dense, simple to cook, and forgiving if your cooking setup is minimal. One caveat, don't store brown rice the same way. It has more oils and a much shorter shelf life, about 6 months at room temperature before going stale or rancid. Also, be careful with cooked rice. If you leave it sitting at room temp too long, bacteria like Bacillus cereus can grow. Always refrigerate cooked leftovers within a couple of hours. In an emergency, white rice is pure survival logic. Cheap, abundant, long-lasting, and versatile. If your pantry had to carry you over a storm, this is one item you absolutely want locked in. Item 2. Dried beans. Let me tell you about one of my pantry heroes, dried beans. These humble legumes are a cornerstone of survival food storage, and for good reason. According to the Utah State University Extension, when stored properly in Mylar bags or sealed buckets with oxygen absorbers, dried beans can maintain quality for 10 years or more. Even Michigan State Extension confirms that beans packaged in airtight, cool, dry conditions last far longer than when left in regular plastic bags. Now don't let the 10 years number fool you into complacency. The USDA's Food Keeper app suggests that for peak flavor and nutrition, beans are best used within 1 to 2 years after purchase. After that, they don't go bad per se, but they may lose vitamins, take longer to cook, and the texture may suffer. Here's the human truth. During a survival situation, when the grocery deliveries stop and stores empty fast, beans become one of your most relied upon anchors. You throw them in a pot with whatever spices or vegetables you have, simmer them and boom, protein, fiber, calories all in one. Even under powered stoves or cold-lit kitchens, beans can sustain you longer than most foods. Think back to cold nights without power. You'd give anything for something warming, filling, dependable. Dried beans deliver that. Just make sure you store them smart. Cool, dark, sealed. Label the date. Use what's older first, because in that blackout the beans in your shelf might be the ones keeping you going. Item 3. Honey. Alright, this one's one of my favorite forever foods. Honey. It's not just a sweet treat, it's a survival staple. Archaeologists have dug up jars of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs more than 3,000 years old, and they were still edible. That's not myth, samples have confirmed it. Why does honey last so long? It's all in its makeup. Honey has very low moisture, a high sugar concentration, and acidic pH, which create an environment where bacteria simply can't thrive. Plus, bees add enzymes that help produce small amounts of hydrogen peroxide, which adds another layer of antimicrobial action. Now, full transparency, honey's quality might change over time. It can darken, thicken, or crystallize, and its flavor may mellow, but those changes don't mean it's spoiled. Crystallized honey is 100% just safe to eat. You can gently warm it in a bath of hot water to reliquefy it. Here's the real-life application. In a blackout during deep winter, you'll want everything that provides calories, boosts morale, and can serve multiple uses. A spoonful of honey can sweeten food, boost energy, soothe a sore throat, and even assist in wound care. It's multifunctional in a survival setting. But here's the catch. Moisture is honey's enemy. If water gets into your jar, fermentation can begin and ruin the batch. Always use dry, clean spoons, store honey in airtight glass jars, and keep it in a cool, dark place. In short, honey is one of the rare foods that truly never expires if handled right. Keep it sealed, dry, and safe, and you've got a food item that supports you through storms, power outages, and worst-case scenarios long after most other foods have failed. Item 4. Dried beans. Let's talk about a real survival heavyweight, dried beans. They're one of those foods that almost everyone has in the pantry, but most people don't realize just how powerful they are in long-term storage. Properly stored, dried beans can last 10 to 30 years without losing their ability to feed you. That's not an exaggeration. The USDA and multiple food storage studies back this up. When sealed in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, beans remain edible for decades. Here's why they matter. Beans aren't just filler. They're a powerhouse of protein, fiber, and complex carbohydrates. In a crisis, when meat might be impossible to get and fresh vegetables are gone, beans can be the backbone of your survival diet. A single cup of cooked beans delivers about 15 grams of protein and nearly half your daily fiber needs. That means they don't just keep you full, they keep your energy stable and your digestive system working when stress and poor diet could take a toll. Now, here's something most preppers don't think about. Old beans may take longer to cook, but they're still safe to eat. In fact, during the Texas power outage of 2021, many families turned to beans because they were cheap, filling, and versatile. With just water and heat, you can create hearty meals that keep spirits and stomachs strong. Bottom line, dried beans are cheap, long-lasting, and endlessly useful. They're not glamorous, but when the shelves are empty and the storm drags on, a bucket of beans could be the difference between hunger and hope. Would you rather gamble on last-minute grocery runs, or know you've got decades of food security sealed and ready? Item 5. Honey. Now, here's a food that's almost magical. Honey. Believe it or not, honey is one of the very few foods that never expires. Archaeologists have found jars of honey in Egyptian tombs that were over 3,000 years old and still perfectly edible. Why? Because honey is naturally antibacterial, low in moisture, and has enzymes that prevent bacteria and mold from growing. Here's what makes honey a survival must-have. First, it's an instant energy boost. Just 1 tablespoon has about 64 calories of quick-burning carbs, which can keep you going when you're exhausted. During an emergency, when food options are limited, that fast energy can mean the difference between pushing through or crashing. But honey isn't just food, it's medicine. The Mayo Clinic and the National Institutes of Health both note that honey has antimicrobial properties and can help soothe sore throats, suppress coughs, and even treat minor wounds or burns. In fact, during the 2021 supply chain crisis, medical-grade honey was in short supply because hospitals were using it to fight infections that resisted And here's the practical side. Honey doesn't need refrigeration. It stores easily in jars, and even if it crystallizes, all you have to do is warm it gently and it returns to liquid form. It's versatile too. Spread it on bread, stir it into oats, use it in tea, or even as a natural sweetener when sugar is gone. When the lights go out and comfort foods vanish, honey can provide sweetness, healing, and hope. Imagine sitting in the cold, dark night. A spoonful of honey not only feeds your body, but lifts your spirit. That's why preppers call it liquid gold. Wouldn't you want some of that in your emergency stash? Item 6. Dried beans. If rice is the backbone of long-term storage, beans are its perfect partner. Together they make a complete protein, meaning they provide all the essential amino acids your body needs to stay strong. According to the USDA, dried beans stored in airtight containers can last 25 plus years. Think about that. A single bag bought today could still feed your grandkids in the future. They're also loaded with fiber, iron, and plant-based protein, which help keep you full when meals are scarce. In a winter blackout, being able to cook a pot of beans with nothing but water and a heat source could stretch your food supply for weeks. Sure, they take longer to cook than canned beans, but that's why many preppers soak them ahead of time or use solar cookers to save fuel. Here's a quick tip. Mix beans with rice. Add a little salt and oil, and you've got survival comfort food that's cheap, filling and packed with nutrition. Item 7. Salt. Now let's talk about something so simple yet so powerful. Salt. It's not just about seasoning your food. Salt is essential for human survival. The National Institutes of Health explains that sodium is critical for muscle function, hydration, and even nerve signals. Without it, your body literally can't operate. But here's why preppers always store salt. It's also a natural preservative. Before refrigerators existed, people used salt to cure meat and preserve food for months. In an emergency where fresh food spoils quickly, salt becomes your backup refrigerator. Plus, it lasts forever if stored in a dry place. No expiration date. And let's be real, when you're living off rice, beans, and canned goods, salt turns bland survival meals into something comforting. Morale matters in a crisis, and a pinch of salt can make all the difference. Item 8. Sugar. Some folks dismiss sugar as junk, but in survival mode, it's far more than a sweet treat. Like honey, sugar never expires. Stored properly in a sealed container, it'll outlast you. Why does it matter? First, quick energy. A spoon of sugar in tea or coffee can give you the boost you need when calories are scarce. Second, it's a preservative. Sugar is used in jams, jellies, and syrups to keep fruit safe for long-term storage. Third, it's barter gold. Imagine the grid goes down and people can't buy sweets anymore. Suddenly, sugar is worth more than silver. But here's a detail most people overlook. Sugar can also help heal wounds. Sprinkling granulated sugar on a cut creates an environment that bacteria can't thrive in. It's old-school medicine that modern preppers still swear by. In short, sugar is not just comfort food, it's survival fuel, medicine, and trade, all rolled into one. Item 9. Honey. If there's one food that deserves the title liquid gold, it's honey. Archaeologists have found jars of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are over 3,000 years old, and still perfectly edible. That's because honey has natural antimicrobial properties and never spoils when stored in a sealed container. But honey isn't just about sweetness. It's survival medicine. According to the National Library of Medicine, raw honey has antibacterial properties strong enough to help heal wounds and fight infection. In fact, some modern hospitals use medical-grade honey on burns and cuts when antibiotics fail. In a crisis, honey pulls double duty. It's energy-rich food, a natural cough soother, and even a wound treatment. Plus, it boosts morale. Imagine sitting through a freezing blackout and having a spoonful of honey with tea. Suddenly, survival doesn't feel so grim. Item 10. Powdered milk. Here's one most people forget. Powdered milk. While fresh milk spoils in days, powdered milk can last 20+ years if stored properly. FEMA and USDA both recommend it as part of long-term food storage. Why? Because it's packed with protein, calcium, and vitamins that you won't get from just rice and beans. Kids especially need it for growth and nutrition. During Winter Storm Uri in 2021, families in Texas ran into a huge problem. Grocery shelves were stripped of milk in just hours. Parents were desperate. Powdered milk would have solved that. It's also versatile. You can use it in baking, cooking, or even mix it up as a drink when fresh supplies are gone. It may not taste exactly like fresh milk, but in survival mode, nutrition always wins over preference. Item 11. Vinegar. Now let's talk about something people rarely stock up on but absolutely should. Vinegar. Specifically, white vinegar or apple cider vinegar. Stored in a sealed bottle, vinegar literally never expires. It's one of the most versatile survival items you can own. You can use it for food preservation, pickling vegetables, cleaning, disinfecting surfaces, and even as a natural remedy. FEMA and USDA both list vinegar as part of emergency food safety kits because of its use in food storage. Here's the real kicker. Vinegar can keep your food supplies safe long after refrigeration is gone, and on top of that, it doubles as a barter item. Think about it. When people realize they can't preserve food, vinegar becomes worth its weight in gold. Plus, it boosts morale. A splash of vinegar in beans, soups, or greens transforms bland survival meals into something you actually look forward to eating. Item 113. Salt. Salt might seem ordinary, but in survival it's priceless. Historically, it was so valuable that Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in salt. That's where the word salary comes from. FEMA and the CDC both note salt's importance for preserving food when refrigeration fails. In a long blackout, salt allows you to cure meats, pickle vegetables, and keep food edible for months. It also maintains electrolyte balance, critical if you're sweating, working, or rationing water. Imagine cooking bland beans day after day. Just a pinch of salt transforms survival food into comfort food. It's cheap, it never expires, and without it, survival gets very tough very fast. Item 14. Sugar. Now I know what you're thinking, sugar? But hear me out. Sugar, like honey, lasts indefinitely when stored properly, and it's not just for sweetening coffee. According to the USDA, sugar is a core ingredient in preserving jams, jellies, and syrups. It's also a calorie-dense source of quick energy. During a storm or crisis, morale matters. Something as simple as a sweetened cup of tea can calm nerves and make life feel a little more normal. Plus, sugar can even help in first aid. Some studies show it can aid wound healing when applied directly to cuts by preventing bacterial growth. Who would have thought survival could be sweet? Item 15. Pasta. Dry pasta is one of the cheapest, easiest to store foods out there. FEMA highlights grains and pasta as staples for long-term emergency kits because they're calorie-dense and simple to cook. Properly stored in a sealed container, pasta lasts decades. Here's the kicker. Pasta cooks fast, meaning less fuel needed in an emergency. That's huge when propane or firewood is limited. You can pair it with canned tomato sauce, tuna, beans, or powdered cheese, and instantly have a meal that feels hearty and filling. When your family's cold and stressed, a hot bowl of pasta can feel like survival magic. Item 16. Dried lentils. If beans are the survival king, lentils are the queen. Unlike most beans that need soaking, lentils cook quickly, sometimes in less than 20. According to the USDA Food Data Central, they're loaded with protein, fiber, iron, and essential nutrients that keep your energy steady. In a crisis, speed matters. Using less fuel to cook means saving precious resources. Lentils also stretch meals. You can add them to soups, rice, or pasta for a nutrient boost. And here's the thing, lentils are cheap. A few dollars buys pounds of survival food that can last decades when sealed. Item 17. Rolled oats. Picture waking up during a blackout. The house is cold, morale is low, and you need something quick, filling, and warm. That's where oats come in. Stored properly, rolled oats last 20+ years, and they're one of the easiest breakfast survival foods out there. The Whole Grains Council notes that oats are packed with fiber, protein, and slow-burning carbs that keep you full for hours. You don't even need milk, just water and maybe a spoon of honey or sugar. In survival, oats are also versatile. Grind them into flour, bake them into bread, or stretch soups and stews. In short, oats aren't just food, they're comfort. And comfort is survival. Item 18. Instant coffee and tea. Now some people might laugh at this one, but trust me, morale is everything in survival. Instant coffee and tea aren't just about caffeine, they're about comfort and routine. FEMA has often highlighted how psychological resilience is just as important as food and water. Picture waking up cold, tired, and anxious in a blackout. A hot cup of coffee can shift your mindset from panic to problem solving. The best part, instant coffee lasts up to 20 years if sealed properly. Tea bags, when kept dry, also have years of shelf life. Beyond drinking, coffee grounds can even be used as natural insect repellents in a pinch. Item 19. Peanut butter. Peanut butter is a survival superstar. According to the USDA, an unopened jar can last years past its best-by date, especially if stored in a cool, dry place. One spoonful delivers protein, healthy fats, and calories that can keep you going when meals are scarce. In fact, just 2 tablespoons of peanut butter contain about 200 calories and 8 grams of protein. During emergencies, you don't just need food, you need dense food. That's why FEMA often includes nut butters in emergency kits. Plus, it's kid-friendly. spreads on anything, and doesn't need cooking. Item 20. Powdered milk. Powdered milk is one of those items most people overlook until they realize how critical it is. FEMA lists dairy or dairy substitutes as vital for nutrition in extended emergency. Powdered milk, when stored in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, can last 20+ years. It's versatile too. Mix it for drinking, add it to oatmeal, bake with it, or even use it in coffee and tea. According to the National Dairy Council, milk powder retains protein, calcium, and essential vitamins, which is huge when fresh food is gone. Parents especially, imagine being snowed in with no milk for your kids. That's where this becomes a game changer. Item 21. Canned vegetables. Fresh produce spoils fast, but canned vegetables give you shelf-stable nutrition for years. The USDA says canned foods remain safe indefinitely if stored properly, though taste and texture may decline after 2 to 5 years. In survival, that's still gold. Canned corn, peas, carrots, or spinach not only provide vitamins and fiber but also hydration, since most cans contain liquid. Remember Texas 2021? Millions without power, and people who had canned veggies could still eat balanced meals while others struggled. It's not glamorous food, but it's life-saving food. Item 22. Canned meat and fish. Protein is one of the hardest things to secure in a survival situation. That's why canned meats like tuna, chicken, salmon, or even Spam are FEMA-approved essentials. According to NOAA and USDA, canned fish especially is rich in omega-3s and protein, and lasts 3 to 5 years unopened. The beauty of canned meat? No cooking required. Crack open a can, eat it cold, or mix it with rice or pasta. In a crisis, protein keeps your muscles strong, your energy steady, and your immune system functioning. Item 23. Bouillon cubes and soup base. Here's one most people forget. Bouillon cubes might look tiny, but they're survival gold. They last indefinitely when kept dry, and they turn plain rice, beans, or pasta into a flavorful, comforting meal. Think about it. Eating plain beans for weeks will crush morale, but add a bouillon cube, suddenly it tastes like stew. FEMA and nutritionists emphasize how food variety and taste play a huge role in keeping people from survival fatigue. Flavor isn't a luxury in survival, it's the difference between eating enough and losing your appetite under stress. Item 24. Honey. Honey is called liquid gold for a reason. Archaeologists have found jars of honey in Egyptian tombs over 3,000 years old that were still edible. The National Honey Board confirms that honey never spoils if sealed properly because of its low moisture and natural antibacterial properties. It's not just food, it's medicine. In emergencies, honey can soothe a sore throat, heal minor wounds, and even be used as a natural preservative. Imagine being trapped in a storm with limited supplies. A spoonful of honey gives you energy and comfort. Item 25. Salt. Salt isn't just seasoning, it's survival. FEMA actually lists salt as an essential because it lasts forever and is critical for food preservation. Before refrigeration, salt was the main way people preserved meat and fish. It also helps your body retain fluids, a key factor when water is scarce. Store a few pounds of salt and you've got an endless tool for flavor preservation and survival. Item 26. Sugar. Like salt, sugar doesn't expire when kept dry. According to the USDA, it can last indefinitely. Beyond sweetening, sugar helps with baking, energy, and food preservation. In a pinch, sugar can even clean wounds when mixed with honey. Imagine a bitter, flavorless emergency diet. Sugar turns basic foods into morale boosters. Item 27. Vinegar. White vinegar is another forever food. FEMA and USDA recommend it not just for cooking, but also for cleaning, pickling, and even medical use. Vinegar lasts indefinitely and is invaluable in survival for disinfecting surfaces, preserving vegetables, and even neutralizing odors. 1 gallon of vinegar in your pantry multiplies your options for both food and hygiene. Item 28. Baking soda. This humble white powder has endless uses. Baking soda lasts indefinitely if stored airtight, and in survival it's far more than a baking ingredient. It can clean, deodorize, and even put out small grease fires. FEMA includes multi-purpose items like this because they reduce the number of separate supplies you need to stock. Think about it. 1 box can help you cook, clean, and stay safe. Item 29. Alcohol. Not for partying, for survival. High-proof liquor like vodka never expires. According to FEMA and CDC guidelines, it can be used as a disinfectant, fire starter, or barter item. In desperate times, it even works for pain relief or sterilizing medical tools. Having a bottle of vodka in your survival stash isn't about luxury, it's about versatility. Item 30. Maple syrup. Pure maple syrup, when sealed and stored properly, lasts indefinitely. Unlike pancake syrup with additives, real maple syrup is stable and full of minerals. It's a calorie-dense sweetener that can boost energy fast. During tough winters, when morale and calories are both low, a spoonful of maple syrup can feel like fuel and comfort in one. If you found this list helpful, don't wait until it's too late. Start building your stockpile today while these foods are still easy to find. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another survival up. And if you want to go deeper, check out the link in the description for my full survival pantry guide. Stay prepared, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.